Okay, welcome. Today I've been asked a question about working, about right livelihood, but also what to do if you're in a work situation which sucks on one level. And yeah, I'm going to talk today a little bit what we can do if we're in that situation. So I received a question from a subscriber a few weeks ago, and he's saying he's been in the military for 6 years, and he feels he's been exposed to bad energy. Financial situation is not good, and he feels like he doesn't have a choice. He has to work there. So he's just asking what he can do. So, relating to my own life, when I left business school, I went to work in the city, and I didn't get a great degree, got an okay degree, but it meant that I didn't get the work I really wanted, which I don't think I'd enjoyed anyway. But I tried to get into the banking industry, which I'd worked in before, and in the end, I ended up working as a telesalesman. So I was calling 250 people a day, and 250 people a week, and I'd make one call a week, one sale a week. So 250 calls a week, and I'd make one sale. So it was really kind of, and I didn't want to be there. And again, I felt financial situation. I had no choice. I had to pay for rent. So that's what I felt. Eventually, I left, and I travelled, went to Africa, went through a real struggle for a number of years, and then I ended up in a Buddhist monastery, as most of you know. In that time, I was like, I'm never going back to work in the financial world. I'm not going to do that. Fast forward a few years, I left the monastery. I hadn't earned any money for 4 years. And it was like, right, I need to earn money now. And obviously I had this experience, and I was working with a therapist, and I decided to go back and work in the corporate world again. And I worked for a big, another Fortune 500 company. But it was very different this time. Very different. And rather than it feeling like I was being exposed to bad energy like I was in the 90s, it felt like I had a gift to give now. And, I started to share my story, what had happened in the monastery. And I found that there were those that just couldn't handle me. They were like, whoa, he's weird. And then there were others who I'd share my story and they'd go, wow, that's amazing. Can you teach me meditation? Or they would come and see me and they'd go, oh, I've got this issue. Can we talk it through? So I found that when I really shared my heart on my sleeve, this is what I believe in, bringing my practices, keeping the practice, really seeing my work as my practice, to really feel very loving and, that loving kindness, bringing the Buddhist practice of the 4 Brahma Viharas, metta, loving kindness, karuna, compassion, upekkha, equanimity, and mudita, equanimous joy. Bringing those things into the workplace. It's like it felt, really lovely. And I found in the work I was doing, I just made a real effort to be really lovely. And if I was calling someone, I'd ask them how they were doing. If I needed something from someone, I would really find out, how are you? Rather than just going, give this to me. So I feel this is the things we can do. What can we do to make life more bearable? And this comes in, say, on a more archetypal level of the king, warrior, magician, lover. And specifically the king is, what energy are you taking into the space? Is that sometimes I feel, I used to feel that, woe is me, I don't want to be here. And that's the vibe I gave off. Whereas going into work and really getting into a lovely space, it's like we step into that king. We bless the space around us. The queen energy, we bless those people by how we are, our joy. They call Rod Boothroyd in his book, The Warrior, Magician, Lover, King, the gateway emotion to the sovereign energy is joy. So it's like, what can I do to make this more bearable? Is find something joyful, find something to be grateful for. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, talking about right livelihood. In Buddhism, they talk about, is what I'm doing harming people? And I think in the book by Bhante Gunaratana, 8 Mindful Steps to Happiness, he talks about right livelihood, that the military is not that because, you know, we might not ourselves be killing people, but we are, you know, part of that, like the arms industry, that's considered not right livelihood. So with that being said, is to start to set yourself up. Well, what is my passion? What would I love to do? Start to, maybe you create a website. It's like, what's my passion? Maybe you train as a coach or a therapist. It's like, what am I passionate about? What can I start to set myself up as? So in my own work, you know, I'm really passionate about, dealing with trauma. And I've been doing this work online since 2005, so 16 years. And it's only in the last few years that I now make a full-time income from doing this. Before, I also worked part-time. So I think and I kept going because I love it. And I just, every morning I'm reading. Every day I want to learn more. I'm talking to people. It's like I have that passion. So this is something, I would say is turn it into a joyful experience. See that you've got to have this in order to provide. And, what am I passionate about? And I would recommend looking up Ikigai. Maybe one video, if you guys are interested, I'll talk about Ikigai. And this is helping to find purpose. And I am doing a men's circle tomorrow night, an open men's circle, which you can find on my website. I'll put a link in the bottom. Well, we'll talk about mission, purpose, and I'll talk about Ikigai a bit there. But if you Google it, you'll find it's like answering 4 questions. And the 4 questions are, what do you love to do? What are you good at? What does the world need? And the 4th one is, what can I, receive financial return for? And where those 4 questions intersect, you do a Venn diagram, 4 circles intersecting. The central point is called Ikigai, so it comes from the Japanese principle. So that would be another thing I would suggest, and then start to work towards it. If you love, mountain biking, maybe it's you train as a mountain biking instructor. If you love working with children, maybe it's to train to be a forest school teacher like I did. It's like, just follow your heart. What do I love? Follow your joy. So, okay, well, so the intention is I will also do a separate video for just updates about my book and my podcast and things like that. I've got Nick Duffel coming up in a couple of weeks. So if you've got questions for him, please do put them below. And I'll just talk about what's been happening with my book as well. So, okay, many blessings.